news and sports music. Television and radio show themes.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to Web3 Wednesday. I'm ShellyPalmer. I hope you're having a great day. We're here in Midtown Manhattan in the shadow of the Empire State Building on a really nice winter day. It's so nice, in fact, I think it's fall. It's one of those days where, there's no climate change. Or, yeah, there is some climate change. We're experiencing it right now, or at least climate weirdness. Chat's where it's at, so tell me where you are. We're all on YouTube Live, so tell me who's here and what you're doing and what you're thinking about. You can chat with each other. You can chat with me. If you have any questions, it is an absolute Ask Me Anything kind of day, so I'm completely happy to take your questions and do my very best to answer them. We will try to put them on the screen where possible. So welcome, everybody. And let's get into today. Today is an interesting day. A couple things happened that I thought were pretty fascinating. We're going to talk today a lot about NFTs, and we're going to talk a lot about use cases. We're going to talk about my MetaMask wallet getting hacked. We're going to talk about some safety. We'll talk about all kinds of stuff. You know, the NFT business has been interesting. This year, it's getting close to like $18 billion of NFT sales. It has cooled down a bit. It got super crazy in July, August. We had a little bit of a bump in September, as everybody knows. It's cooler than it had been, but everybody is still pretty excited about it. I'm not unhappy that the hype is sort of calming down, because it gives us the opportunity to actually understand the underlying technology a little bit better. Well, a couple things happened this week that I thought were really great. One is that Coinbase is going to roll out support. The Coinbase wallet, which is you can get either for your mobile device or as a browser extension like MetaMask, is going to support NFTs. And I think that's really important. And it will help people be able to transfer and take custody of and transfer their NFTs in a way that a lot of people can't right now. A lot of people are locked into the NFT marketplaces where they are buying and selling, or they're locked into a specific chain. This should help a little bit. The other thing that went down this week also with Coinbase, oddly enough, publicly traded, second largest exchange behind Binance, is that they're going to support hardware wallets. This is really, really, really important, like several reallys. I can't stress enough that every ounce of crypto that you have should be kept in a hardware wallet, or what some people call a cold wallet. We talked about that in depth last week. One of the reasons you need to do that is, and in fact even grown-ups need to do it, is because there are some bad guys out there. Let's see who's joined us. We've got Aaron Sherman from Chile, New Hampshire, and we've got Doug from Washington State. Welcome. Charlie from Detroit. Glad you're here. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us today. Please tell me who you are. It's last week the chat was super active. It was very exciting to see. You can tell each other what you do. That's always a good thing to do, because you can find lots of people here that have an awful lot of different skills in and around technology, media, and marketing, which we focus on. And of course, everybody here is very interested in Web3, which is the subject of the day. What I want to cover today is NFT use cases. I want to get into that. I guess we have to talk about one last thing, which is that there was a big industrial hack this week. It was at Vulcan Forge. This was industrial scale. They didn't have multi-signature wallets there. They definitely did not have their own security together, and because of that, the Vulcan Forge guys got hit for $140 million, and some of it got returned and some of it didn't. Yeah, wow. We're seeing this happen on an industrial scale, like a serious industrial scale. And when I say industrial scale, I mean hackers getting in and picking up $30 million, $50 million, $100 million worth of crypto when it shouldn't have been available to them. It's one thing when my MetaMask wallet gets hacked for $400. It's something else when an exchange gets hit, or when a foundation gets hit, or where a group of people who have done an initial coin offering get hit. Like there's a whole other story. And what's causing it is that you need to write tested code, and you also need to be bulletproof. And there aren't enough super trained, highly trained engineers out there. So a lot of people are hiring people that are, let's just say, have the book open and doing the tests and doing their homework with the book open. It's not a bad thing. I mean, you need to learn. But at a certain level, there's technical debt you assume when you're not using very high quality engineering talent. And that can really cost you. And it has clearly cost people over the last couple of weeks. That you don't need to do more than read the news at Coinbase or Cointelegraph or any one of the Bitcoin news. There are a bunch of different people covering this stuff. The Wall Street Journal and CNBC are covering it too. Lisa Ferris, welcome. Bob Herzog, welcome here. And of course, Steve Grubbs and Paul, so good to see you. And Alan Mostow and Edward Minicheski, glad you're here. New York, Los Angeles, a lot of Los Angeles. And of course, all the way from Rowayton. Love it, love it, love it. Please, tell everybody what you do. Tell everybody what you're into. Tell them where you are. The chat is always the most fun part about this. All right. We are going to CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. It is what we do. You are all invited to join us. We are going to be there live, in person. I will physically be there doing our executive briefings and floor tours. I'm excited to go. I know the Omicron variant is an issue. I know some are restricted from traveling. I understand that, but we're going to be there in person. We're also going to have an online event. The online event is our Innovation Series Summit. It's January 5th, 2022 at 11 a.m. Eastern. And we are going to have some incredible guests. We've got Michelle Crossan from Samsung. She's the CMO of Samsung Electronics America. Vlado Bosnak, who is the CEO of Advanced Human Imaging, a really interesting company that uses your cell phone camera or your smartphone camera to do some predictive analytics about your risk factors, medical risk factors. It's kind of a fascinating organization. Stephanie Latham from Meta, formerly the company known as Facebook. We're going to talk about, all kinds of stuff. We're going to have a bunch of surprise guests. We've got some friends from Oracle coming, from the NHL, all kinds of fun things. We're also going to, if we get it done in time, we're going to have a really fun educational site put together, both Web 2 and Web 3, where we are going to take you on an NFT journey from setting up your wallet, a MetaMask wallet, tell you the truth, from setting up a wallet, getting some coins, minting some NFTs, some test NFTs. You'll be in a test net that will show you how to build and mint an NFT in a test net environment. You'll earn real-world NFTs from us that you can use. We'll have a quest going. We're going to go through minting. We're going to go through, setting up the wallet, then minting, how you list, just the entire journey, how you check rarity, how you check the tokenomics of the organization you're working with. We're going to go as far as we can go, chapter by chapter. There'll be an NFT, a real-world NFT available at each stage, which should be super fun. And then those NFTs will get you to either our super secret handshake salons, which happen monthly, and some of them, the rarer ones, will get you an invite to my in real life salons, the ones that I have every 6 to 8 weeks in various cities around the world. I'm assuming that as the pandemic abates, I'm going to start that up again, and we will be able to invite people to, in real life, come to our 10, 12 person salons that I used to just love to do every 6 to 8 weeks, get a lot of interesting people in a room. So I absolutely love it. If you would join us, you can find all the things you need to find about what we're doing at ces.ShellyPalmer.com. There's a couple of forms you can fill out there if you'd like credentials to the Innovation Series Summit. If you'd like to get access to our trend report, this year we're going to do, it's called Trends and Insights Deep Dive. It's about a 20,000 worder. There's a lot about crypto and the metaverse and Web3 and decentralized finance and AI and some of the issues we're having with social media and some of the issues we're having in the media business in general. We tried to go a little deeper this year than we had in the past, because I think this is a year where people, it's a transitional year where there's just more to know and more to learn. So we tried to put a little bit more in the trend report. If you happen to be going to CES, actually going, like in real life, IRL, going to be there physically in Las Vegas, please look us up. We're in the North Lobby. In our normal booth location. We've been there for years. You can find us there. We're not doing very many in-person events. We are, however, doing in real life tours for our corporate clients. Very safely, too. Everyone will have a mask on, and we have these new headsets, and every headset has a microphone. And no one will have to take their mask off in order to talk to each other or to me. So we're taking a bunch of leadership teams around. We've got actually a very, very robust tour schedule planned, but everything else is going to be online and available online. So again, if you want to join us, it is the Innovation Series Summit. It's going to happen at 11 a.m. Eastern. Amazing guests, all kinds of great stuff happening, and we're be very excited and honored if you join us there. It'll be on YouTube Live. Alrighty, let's get deep into what we need to get deep into today. I want to talk about use cases for NFTs, and I want to talk about them in the context of the kind of hype cycle that's been around now for the better part of a year and a half. Look, NFTs can be used for digital collectibles. That is the thing most people use them for. I think if you've been following this channel for a while, you understand that NFTs are smart contracts. And a smart contract is exactly like a regular contract. Exactly. It has terms and conditions, and when they are met, something happens. There's consideration, and something happens. Unlike a normal contract, when you have a smart contract, the terms and conditions are digital, and when those digital conditions and terms are met, something automatically happens. Some people call it programmable money. I don't like the term technically, but I love it conceptually. These are contracts that are automatic. They do their job whether you're paying attention or not. They also do their job whether or not you know and or trust the person who's on the other end of the contract. You've heard the term trustless. NFTs can trade in a secondary market that is trustless. They can also trade in a primary market that's trustless, although they tend not to. They can. Generally, the secondary markets are trustless. So, when we talk about NFTs, we're really talking about smart contracts. And keep that in your mind. So what does an NFT actually have in it when it's a digital collectible? Generally, what an NFT has in it is the location of the asset, if there is an asset. For example, let's see if we can find an asset here. Here's one. This is Nyan Cat. We all remember Nyan Cat. Nyan Cat was one of the big and exciting NFTs of the past little while. Nyan Cat sold for something like $590,000, which a lot of people were, concerned about. That was in December of 2020. And yeah, a lot of people can't get, I'm not playing the song. A lot of people can't get the song out of their head. So yeah. So that digital asset actually isn't in the NFT. It can't be by definition. It's pointed to. And where does it live? Well, it can live in a bunch of places. Your NFT, digital collectible, can live in a database like AWS, a database you might put on AWS. It could live in a database you might put in the Azure cloud. It could live in a database that is connected to the internet via API, any way you want. It could live on a database. It can also live in a distributed database. One of the most popular is called IPFS. And IPFS is an interplanetary file system. It's a distributed database. And what I mean by that is that it is peer-to-peer networked. And little pieces of it are all over the place in the client server nodes that make up IPFS. You can learn about it by just Googling it, or you can go to, where can you go? You can go here to our blockchain resource page, ShellyPalmer.com/blockchain. A bunch of free resources there. You will find links to IPFS and also explanations about what it is, how you can use it, what you can do with it. We also have a blog post called Web3 What You Need to Know. And Web3 What You Need to Know talks about really in a good way about the difference between a Web 2 database and a Web 3 database, and a Web 2 website and a Web 3 website. Just to review really quickly as we're talking NFTs. Web 2, when you have a database, it will have a physical location, an IP address, 123.123.123.123, some IP address you can get to. It most likely will have an API, an application programming interface with data endpoints that you can access if you have permission. So if you have keys to that database, if you've been granted permission, digital permission, you can go to that database and get the data that you want. That data can be just ones and zeros, just text. It can be music. It can be, which are also just ones and zeros. It can be images. It can be video. It can be whatever. So that's a Web 2 environment. It's got an actual IP address, which means if you went in and you turned off that server, that content would cease to be available. So that would just disappear. So it's got an address. It physically lives on a server. It may be backed up. It probably is backed up in a lot of places. That's not the point. The point is there is one IP address, and if you go to that IP address with the proper permission, you can find it. In a Web 3 database like IPFS, you, by definition, can't have one physical address because it's a distributed database. It's a peer-to-peer networked database, right? So all of the pieces are on various client-server nodes that are part of this mesh network or this peer-to-peer network. So there's not one ID, there's a lot of IDs. It's not one address, there's a lot of addresses. So there's one ID, a content ID. Again, the article Web 3.0, What You Need to Know at ShellyPalmer.com goes a little bit in depth into this in a non-technical way, so it should be very easy for everyone to understand. Here, what we're talking about is we're going to put our Nyan cat picture or GIF or GIF, depending on whether you like GIF or GIF. We're going to put that file either in a place like AWS in a database where I can point to it at a URL, a good old-fashioned IP address, or I'm going to put it on a Web3 distributed database like IPFS where it's got a content ID and it's all over the public internet on various servers. Now, what's interesting about IPFS is that in theory, once it's been downloaded by a couple dozen people, it's pretty much never deletable. Pretty much. You can go in and revise stuff. There are all kinds of different methodologies to update your website if you build a Web3 website. But for theoretical discussions, the main difference between Web 2 and Web 3 is that in Web 2, I pull the plug on one server, it's gone. In Web 3, realistically, it's going to be there forever. Hard to censor, hard to change, hard to kill. Not impossible, but if it's sufficiently distributed, it's going to be very, very hard to make stuff go away. So, yeah, that's the main difference between the two. So, what does that have to do with NFTs? Well, again, on the blockchain, when an NFT is minted and confirmed, and the process may be minted, validated, ultimately written to a mainnet somewhere and confirmed. Once that's done, what's on the blockchain is the information about where to find that NFT, not the NFT itself. So the smart contract is what gets written to the blockchain, and I think a lot of people don't think that all the way through. The blockchain is not a place you store a picture. It's not a place you store audio. It's not a place you store video. You store the information about ownership and you point to where that file is. So what is the NFT? Well, the NFT is the smart contract that authenticates your ownership. It's not the file itself. I'm going to say that again. The NFT is a file on the blockchain that authenticates your ownership. It is not the actual thing that you bought, which is why an NFT can represent something in a physical world. You could, for example, use an NFT for title insurance. If the title to my house was an NFT, I wouldn't ever need title insurance again. I would know that this is the deed, this is it. And if there was a sufficiently long enough chain of custody on a blockchain, which we know is immutable, why would I need to hire an insurance? Why would I need to buy title insurance to ensure that the chain of custody of that deed is real? I just know that's the deed to this house. So there's a lot more to NFTs than just Nyan cat and digital collectibles. So anyway, moving on. The main use case we're aware of, or the most popular use case is a better way to describe it for NFTs right now, is digital collectibles. Everybody kind of remembers Beeple getting sold for $69 million or Nyan cat getting sold for $590,000, but it's far more likely that the NFT you're going to get is in the form of a pack that you might get from a sports team, or I guess a lot of people are doing Bored Ape Yacht Club. That stuff has gotten crazy expensive. I don't know if those are considered digital collectibles so much as game pieces at this point, or just pure speculative investments. A lot of people are doing that. Getting a couple of questions here. What proportion of data do you think will be on Web3 over the next few years? Thank you, Robert H. A pitifully fractional amount. Fractional. It's not efficient. in any way. It's not even slightly efficient. There will be use cases. There are use cases, and I hear about them all the time, and I'm watching very closely how you may access Web3 tools as a consumer. And what you're doing is you're tricking people into believing that they're Web 2 tools because you're accessing Web 3 through Web 2. You're still using a browser. When you look at the biggest organizations, the centralized organizations, Facebook, Google, Amazon, Salesforce, you go down the list, anything giant, and Netflix, I mean, anything giant. These organizations are centralized because they need to be centralized in order to scale, and they scale. There is such a big difference, such a profound difference between hand coding a website that you're going to throw up on Vercel or Netlify or something that you do no code like Wix or Squarespace, or throwing up a WordPress site on Amazon through one of their pre-built tool sets, and building a Facebook. This is like a Formula One car and a go-kart you build at home with a lawnmower engine. They have nothing to do with one another, not in scale, not at speed, not in utility, not in any manner, shape, or form. And when you think about the amount of data that a Facebook needs to move, or that an Amazon needs to move, or that a Netflix needs to move, or that a Salesforce needs to move, you go down the list, or that an Apple needs to move, or that eBay needs to move, any of the tech elite organizations, they can't decentralize these databases. It doesn't make any sense to do. It doesn't make sense to give up the speed. One of the biggest issues and I'm not saying this isn't going to happen, I'm saying it's not ready yet. One of the biggest issues is you have to get close to the edge, and edge caching and computing as close to the edge, storage as close to the edge as possible. And the edge meaning how close to your smartphone, how close to your house, how close to your use case. If you're watching Netflix, how far does your computer have to go out to find that content on a server? Does it need to go all the way to Seattle? Does it need to go to upstate New York? Does it need to go across the street? Where is it cached? Does it need to go? Is some of it already in your device because someone has taken a guess that using a little Bayesian mathematics that you're probably going to watch these three things next, and they've already put the first 2 minutes of each of those pieces of video in a cache waiting for you? It's any of that is possible. All of that is possible. So when Web3 tools have been built that have the edge computing, edge storage, content distribution capabilities of the large CDNs, yeah, I could see a lot of data moving there. Is that the trajectory? It's a trajectory. I don't know if it's the highest, best use of Web3, but for sure, until that happens, you're not going to see the vast majority of data go there because it doesn't make any sense. Like you already have what you need, so you're not going to go looking. You're not going to go looking for something else to replace something. You're not going to replace something that's working fine and working well with something that isn't. We have another question. Thoughts on NFTs like VFriends that have utility beyond what? Utility beyond art with conference admission and VCon over 3 years, for example. CS NFTs. Oh. And that's from Atori. Yeah, I love all that. I think that's fantastic. And in fact, that's an amazing use case for NFTs. And yeah, you can use it for digital identity. So whether it's a decentralized identifier or which are DIDs or the beginning of SSIDs, of course, it's a perfect way. If you're using a know your customer environment tool set, or if you're just asking for top level, for example, give me your email address, give me your name, maybe your mobile phone number, so I might be able to text you. That might be all I need. I don't need to add any more friction than that. If that's all of the information I have when I take your NFT, I could use it for loyalty. I can also issue it with intent that I don't know you. But when you go to a website to go grab it, then I will either do KYC, know your customer, or I get my top level information then. So I know what Gary's doing with VFriends is beautiful, and it's exactly right. Create some value, create a value proposition. In every case, in every single case that I've seen NFTs work, they have worked because there is a community of passion, a community of practice, or a community of interest that is centered around whatever that's going to be. So the NBA is the community of passion around basketball, and Dapper Labs was able to do Top Shot in a beautiful way. And so, yeah, that was great. And the basketball lovers got their basketball NFTs, and there is this whole community around it. Without the basketball community, there is no Top Shot. So NFL is going to do it, NHL is going to do it, everyone's going to do it. Formula One has done it, McLaren Racing has done it. With some, I think Sweet did they did the Macy's parade, and they also did McLaren Racing. Fantastic! You collect pieces of cars, and you put them together. And people who are loving F1 and loving the McLaren team at F1 are jumping on that. And look, it's very clear that if you're going to use an NFT for fan development, of course, ticketing falls into that, right? Fan development, ticketing, creating value. So that is another great use. You can also obviously use it for gaming, and many people are. So we see NFTs that are authenticating either digital goods and clothing and things you might buy either in video games or in the metaverse or in online games. Game pieces are also used, NFTs are also used, and currency is also used in was started out as play to earn, but I think now is better described as play to engage, or engage to earn. I think I said that wrong. Engage to earn, as opposed to play to earn. Engage to earn. Engage to earn means you pay attention to us and you're going to earn either NFTs or some kind of cryptocurrency, and you see it everywhere. Axie Infinity is probably the biggest play to earn of all the play to earns, but they're popping up everywhere. And engage to earn, every advertiser is going to try to do that. How can they create something of value for you if you engage with them? What does that mean? What does that look like? Every marketer that we know from every company that we know is working really hard to figure out what engage to earn means. And what impact does that have on advertising? Like what real impact does that have on advertising, either broadcast advertising or digital advertising? How targeted can you be with engage to earn? Well, the answer is super targeted. Is it too targeted? And then what can you give of value? Like, how do you actually do that? So that, all of these things are good use cases for NFTs. Tokenization of physical goods and services is also a great use case. You can create an NFT. Like I said, remember, NFTs are certificates of authenticity that live on a blockchain. They have nothing to do with the item that's being authenticated, except that it points to it. So, for example, you might be able to make an NFT of a college diploma that would authenticate that it's your college diploma, but the diploma would be living in a database somewhere. So you can tokenize physical goods. A lot of people are doing tokenized real estate in the physical world, where they will try to use an NFT to represent a property, a real property, physical property in the real world, and they will list it. We have seen plenty of listings on OpenSea for buildings and houses and all kinds of interesting stores and strip malls. It's pretty fascinating. It's not giant, but it's getting there. So look, this isn't limited in any way. This is everyone's imagination. Like, how would you use a smart contract to authenticate something? Now, where does it make the most sense? I'm going to argue digital collectibles is not where it makes the most sense. I'm going to argue that is where everybody's doing get rich quick, and it's not the greatest idea ever, because a lot of people are going to get burned hard and get rich quick. That I can promise you. And a lot of people already have been burned hard and get rich quick. But let's say I was a musician, because I happen to be, and I wanted to do an album, and I wanted my fans to participate, and I decided that I wanted to sell shares. Now, the SEC would immediately jump on this and say, well, you can't sell shares without listing and doing all this ton of legal work. And it's like, no, but in the world of decentralized finance, I absolutely can. So I can go ahead and say, look, I'm going to create some NFTs and mint some NFTs. And when you contribute $10, you get this one, and you contribute $20, you get that one, and $100, you get that one, and $500, you get that one, $1,000, you get that one. And what happens is you've sold shares. Maybe you want to sell 10% or 20% of your project. Because it's a smart contract, you can set it up so that when your album is profitable, when everybody buys it for the hour they're going to buy it, that you can share the profits with the people who bought the NFT shares in your album. So they can share in the value they helped create, and they also have bragging rights, and they've also touched the hem of the garment, and there's a whole bunch of marketing that goes along with that. It's a good use for an NFT. It's a really good use for an NFT. There are other good uses for NFTs. Yeah, Tori, tokenized vaccination cards. Sure, anything you need to be authenticatable makes sense. Anything you need to have an automated secondary market makes sense. I write a song and I put that song out there and people are buying the song. And if other people have contributed, if I needed a bass player and a guitarist and a drummer and a couple background vocalists, and I paid them not with cash, but I paid them with NFTs that represented a percentage ownership of the song. And as the song was paid for, as the treasury for that NFT grew, everyone got their fair share. That's a pretty sweet way to pay royalties that are automatic. And if you have an argument with the bass player and you never talk to that person again, they'll still get paid. And there's no one to go see. No lawyers, no lawsuits, no nothing. Your percentage ownership. So there's a lot of different interesting ways that you can build, not only build store of value with an NFT, but you can also distribute that value to the people who helped create it. That's the magic. That's truly, truly, truly the magic of NFTs. And again, there's really no limit, right? If you think about it, there's just no limit to what you can. This is decentralized finance, and the goal here is for you to think up like new cool things you can do that other people haven't done. I want to talk just for 1 second, indulge me. I have a book on this subject. A lot of this is covered in that book. The book is available both as an ebook and as a paperback book on Amazon. I am always stunned to say that the paperback book itself is outselling the paper version is outselling. This is the second edition, by the way. The paper version is outselling the ebook like 6-1, which is crazy. There's no way for me to understand why that's true. The other thing I want to ask you to do, if it's okay, is on Tuesdays we drop TECHSTREAM. TECHSTREAM with ShellyPalmer and Seth Everett. That's our podcast. It's on Spotify and Apple, and it's also on Amazon, and it's also on Google. Wherever you are getting your podcasts, we'd love you to get our podcast as well. And let's see, what else do I want to cover today? I'm trying to get all my little promos out of the way here. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess I would. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel. Apparently, that's important. I always forget to ask. I never, ever actually ask, but I'll ask you now. If you haven't subscribed, I'd ask you to subscribe. One last promo. This is the last promo. In the description, there's a link to pgx.tech, which is our private social network. But if you're here, you are absolutely welcome to join PGX. We discuss all the topics of the day there. It's a really great group. There's over 3,000 members, and it's a pretty active chat, and everybody's real smart and real respectful. So I think that's a super fun place for you to go, and you're invited, and I hope you'll join us there. All right, that's all the promos that we have for today. What other questions do we have here? Tom K., let's see what your question is. What are your thoughts on NFTs in healthcare for patient data sharing and standardization? My feeling about that is probably not what you think it's going to be. I don't see a reason for it at all. One of the questions you have to ask yourself in a Web3 world, whether it's blockchain, DeFi, NFTs, DAOs, any of the buzzwords, metaverse, would a well-structured database with a strong password do? Medical information needs to be available instantaneously all over the world with no muss, no fuss, no delays. private set of keys is a private set of keys, and the APIs in the world are fine. Centralized healthcare, my insurance company is pretty centralized. When you decentralize my health insurance, you can decentralize my health card and my health information. I'm not giving financial advice on this live stream, and I certainly don't consider myself a financial expert. However, I am a consultant that spends a lot of time, and I do mean a lot of time, working with digital transformation and data. And I will tell you that the healthcare system is about as messed up in the United States as any healthcare system is anywhere in the world. Pricing is immoral. It's hard to imagine any way to fix it. Also, it's evolving, and it's evolving not in a good way. It's evolving in a way where you are treated by services, not by people. The cardiac care service, the nephrology service, it's just horrifying. I would argue that the most important thing you can do is keep your own medical journals, which should be kept to yourself, but you should pull every ounce of data in. You should be the data repository. And I don't think that needs to be an NFT or anything else. I use Airtable. I mean, you literally need to be your own concierge. There's no such thing as a good old country family doctor. If you still have one, consider yourself incredibly lucky. When my GP retired 5-6 years ago, and I got a GP from the insurance company list of GPs that could be their primary care physician, wow, did that change my life. All of a sudden, someone's covering, they don't know who I am, they're looking at my chart, they're like, you walk in, they're asking you every question you'd ever be asked, you're filling out a form with every medical detail ever, because no one knows who you are, and they need to know, and those documents are not necessarily available to everybody. So what do? What I tell all of my friends, colleagues, clients to do, keep your own. And the good news is you can pull all that data in, and by law they have to give it to you, and so you can take it. And what's on paper you scan, and what is not on paper you scan anyway, and you create files. I take copious notes, and I created a thing I call Medical Journey and Medical Journal. Medical Journey is the database that I have with my healthcare information in it, and the Medical Journal literally is a diary of everything that's ailed me for the last, 10 years, 15 years, whatever's relevant. When my GP retired, he gave me a pile of information that wasn't a big enough pile of information, but it's good enough for my medical history. The big things that happened to me, my ACL replacement, my shoulder getting messed up and getting fixed, like that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know that NFTs have a place. I don't know that Web3 has a place there. I don't know that decentralization helps. The biggest problem with everybody's medical information is that it's not centralized in any way. That's a good thing. I'm not saying it's not a good thing. You want to keep your private health information private. It's great that your dentist doesn't talk to your doctor. It's great that if you have a cardiologist, they don't talk to your neurosurgeon who doesn't talk to. It's all fine that's all in separate offices and the health records or whatever. But when you go, I had a health scare a couple months ago, and I didn't know if it was COVID or what it was, and it was a cold, but I thought it might be something worse, and I went to the doctor, and the questionnaire, 6 pages long. Thank goodness I was at, what medications are you taking? When were they prescribed? How often do you take them? Why do you take them? What do they actually do? Well, I don't take very many medications, but they wanted to know everything. They're, okay, what's your family history? What's your mom's history? Your dad, guys, I have a cold. What do you ask? But they didn't know me. They didn't know me. And that never happened in the old days, and it happens now. So yeah, that's a little bit of I think I took a giant left turn here off of NFTs, but I don't see how decentralizing this information more than it's already decentralized is good for anybody. To be fair, it's exactly the opposite. I need a repository of all of my health records, and I need to, unfortunately, I'm my own advocate now. And this is horrifying, right? I don't know anything about medicine. I really don't. I know what I read. And by the way, when you go to Google something in healthcare, you're not looking at the right answer. You're looking at the answer with the best SEO. So this is a horror show. It's like, oh my goodness. So what I'm looking at right now is the best information based on who hired the best SEO people. No, I am not qualified to read this information. And my doctor was. Right, when my GP, if I said to him, hey, I think I have a cold, he would tell me, yeah, you probably do. So This is a big issue, and again, I'm not sure. I don't mean to say that it's never going to happen, but when I think NFTs, when you think NFTs, what you're looking for is, again, the big question: why is a blockchain-based solution better than a well-structured, password-protected database that's centralized and running quickly? And then the next question you ask yourself is, am I cutting costs? Am I creating value? Am I empowering someone to do something they couldn't do before? Because if I am, then there's probably a real reason to use the blockchain or use an NFT. But if I'm not empowering something that wasn't empowered before, or if I'm not creating something, a way to tap value that I couldn't tap before, then what are you doing? Right? That doesn't make any sense. So I either have to cut costs, which will increase margin, or make something possible that wasn't possible before. If I can do that, that's amazing. I'll make something possible that wasn't possible before. Great use of the blockchain, great use of an NFT, great use of a DAO. Awesome reason to build a metaverse. I can build something that's never been done before. Fantastic. And that's I think, that's where I want to leave it. So look, again, we're going to be at CES in January. I hope you will join us for our Innovation Series Summit. You can just go, this YouTube channel actually has a way you can get a reminder. But if not, you can just visit us at ces.ShellyPalmer.com and come to our Innovation Series Summit. As always, please, if you've got any questions or you've got something cool you want to talk about with respect to blockchain, digital transformation, anything, just Shelly at ShellyPalmer.com. I'll do my very best to answer your questions or to point you in the right direction. This is a new time with cool new stuff happening. We're stoked about it every day. We got a million interesting NFT projects and blockchain projects and DAO projects and buzzword projects. All the buzzwords are happening here. It's pretty exciting. For those of you who are wondering, yes, my MetaMask wallet is still hacked. Absolutely. I meant to talk a little bit more about that today. At the end of the day, this hack has still not been figured out. We do not know how it happened. We do not know, well, we know why. There was $400 in there that someone could take, but we don't know how. And we're probably not going to learn how for a little while, but we are diligently, forensically trying to figure that out. What I will tell you is that hardware wallet, even if you're using MetaMask, and now, of course, you'll be able to do it with Coinbase wallet as well. So if you keep your private keys in a hardware wallet, what happened to me could not happen to you. And if you want to learn more about that, just go over to ShellyPalmer.com/blockchain and you will find all kinds of information about why that is. I'm going to write up the right way to do your MetaMask wallet and put that online in the next couple of weeks. Look for our blockchain tool set because that's going to be coming. We'll premiere that at CES. Again, everybody, just such a pleasure to have you every week. This is my favorite, time. I just love spending this time. Thanks for keeping the chat so active today. Really, really great. I'm glad all of you were here. Next week, hopefully same bat time, same bat channel. I'm going to do my best to make it. It's the week before CES and the week before Christmas, so we're going to do our best. But hopefully we'll be there. And if I don't speak with you beforehand, please accept my very best wishes for a healthy and happy holiday season. Stay safe, everyone. I look forward to seeing you really soon.